Hi there everyone, my name is Christian Eschbach and welcome to another one of my album reviews. And we are very close to wrapping up our Doors reviews. So, you're going to see this album cover twice. Once for this album review, which we're doing right now, which is The Doors, Other Voices, and then once for this one for Full Circle. This is a 2-disc set that I picked up at the same time. It comprises of the 2 Doors albums released without Jim Morrison being featured at all. Alright, this is going to be fun. Now, I have not read the inside liner notes book yet. There's a bunch of details, stuff like that in here. Alright, so let's get into the actual songs just right away here, okay? So, I'm going to put an image up here of the actual album cover a couple times as we go because, you're not going to see it properly. It's this one right here, so, okay. The album opens up with In the Eye of the Sun. Now, I'm looking at the liner notes here. They don't have in the quick notes who performed the vocals on which songs. I'm going to assume the writer of the song, the primary. If there was only one writer, I'm going to assume that it was the one writer that did it. If it was multiple writers, I'm going to assume that it was the first person on the list, possibly. Alright, you got the album opening with In the Eye of the Sun. This song actually opens up the album really well. I think it's a really good tune. Biggest problem this album suffers from is not that Jim Morrison's not on the album. It's just the guys that from the band that are doing the vocals. Maybe they should have looked at a replacement vocalist. Because I'm assuming based on this, it's Manzarek doing the vocals because it's a Manzarek song. I'm not impressed with the vocals on the song. The way they're sung, they're okay, but they're kind of basically 60s, 70s generic. There's nothing special. There's nothing standout. They don't have the presentation that Morrison would have done. But lyrically, it sounds like a song that should have been there in the Doors days. One of the things I really like about In the Eye of the Sun is it really kind of has this cross combo between this cool jazz groove and this cool blues groove going on in there. And it kind of crosses back and forth on there. Song clocks in at 4 minutes 48 seconds. It honestly kind of feels like 2 different songs when you're listening to it, but it's really, really good tune. From there we go into the Robbie Krieger tune, Variety is a Spice of Life. This is a very generic kind of 60s-esque song. Kind of reminds me maybe more of something the Grateful Dead might have released. Just the lyrical content. It's not as cool lyrical content that you normally find. It doesn't have any of that hippie trippy stuff or, wild kind of visual, like lyrical visual kind of presentations, whatnot. It just doesn't work for me as a Doors song, There are parts of this album and even part of the Full Circle album, which I'll do as my next review, reminds me a lot of Iron Butterfly Scorching Beauty album, which would have been, I think, give or take around the same time, maybe off by a couple years. Shipless Sails clocks in at 7 minutes 38 seconds. I'm going to be honest, really good tune. I really enjoy it when it's playing, but I do have a tendency to tune out on this song. This one's a Krieger Densmore song. I'm going to assume it's Krieger that's doing the vocals on it. Could be Densmore, I'm not sure. Vocals really aren't relevant as much. This song is more of an instrumentally. This would fall more in line with, when they were doing songs like The End and a lot of their longer songs that they would use to close out an album. Another thing I do want to point out on this is there are very few songs that come in below 4 minutes. As a matter of fact, there's only 2 songs that come in below 4 minutes. Variety is a Spice of Life clocks in at 2:50, and that one actually feels a little over long for being 2:50. Like, I would have thought Eye of the Sun and Variety is a Spice of Life were actually flipped around with how long that, the times are and whatnot on them. And then the later song, I'm Horny, I'm Stoned, clocks in at 3:55. Everything else is 4:15 or longer. And speaking of 4:15 or longer, Tightrope, the next song, is 4:15. And Tightrope's pretty cool. I really dig this one when it's playing. It is definitely a song I can see. It feels more In the Eye of the Sun, Ship with Sails, Tightrope Ride. They feel definitely like Doors songs, especially instrumentally. They kind of feel like Doors songs. Whereas Variety's of Spice Life just feels like a toss-away song that any band could have done. Tightrope Ride, though, really kind of, once again, it's the instrumentation on all these songs that really make these songs really good and enjoyable. From there, we go into Down on the Farm, which is a Krieger song as well. Krieger definitely kind of redeems himself with Down on the Farm compared to Variety as a Spice of Life. Down on the Farm also clocks in at 4:15. Really enjoy this. The idea of the expression down, and this is not the same as the UK subs Down on the Farm, which was covered by Guns N' Roses on the Spaghetti Incident. This is a completely different song, and I do always like the mentality and the referencing to being down on the farm being a little woohoo, you know. I think it's a great referencing. I like the way they kind of play it up on here. Once again, lyrics definitely work. They just, I'm not a fan of the vocals. Then we get to I'm Horny, I'm Stoned. This is a fun song, but not a song I would have considered a Doors song. This is more like this is a Krieger song as well. This one is more in the line of Variety as a Spice of Life, where it's just kind of like that generic kind of song from that time period. It's kind of fun, it's kind of playful, but at the same time, it really kind of, it feels like the band was kind of trying to expand a little bit on what they were doing with Morrison, kind of go in different directions a little bit. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. Another thing I forgot to mention on here is there's quite a few songs on here that kind of have a Santana kind of vibe. You know, it almost felt like the guys were hanging out and jamming with Carlos Santana a little bit and picking up some Latino kind of vibes and whatnot. Not as much on this album, maybe as maybe on the next one, but there's definitely some vibes in there where they get into some musicianship, which gets going really good. I believe Wandering Musician, which is track 7, and the next song is one of those songs that really kind of gets into that vibe a little bit. And then the album finishes off with Hang On To Your Life. Once again, every song on this album is, okay, with the exception of Variety of Spice of Life, I can enjoy every song on this album. Variety of Spice of Life, I just don't enjoy at all. Every other song, it's purely the vocalist that kind of throws it off. Lyrically, some of the songs, like I'm Horny, I'm Stoned, that's not quite the Doors kind of material I want to hear and whatnot. The experimentation is really cool. The going in different directions is really cool. The playing around is really cool. They just needed a different vocalist. This is one of those ones where... And the other thing, too, is, according to this was produced by The Doors and Bruce Botnick, so it didn't even have, you know, Paul Rothchild to help kind of hone it in. And I think that makes a difference. Maybe it was a matter of Rothchild didn't want to do anything without Jim. I can't say for certain. But would I recommend The Doors' other voices? If you like The Doors musically, check it out. It is a really cool album musically. I really, really dig this album. I really dig what the band was doing musically, where they were going, everything like that. Great music album. If you're looking for an album that has kind of like a generic mix of kind of late 60s, early 70s sounds, like I said, there's a little Grateful Dead in here. There's some Carlos Santana in here. I hear stuff that reminds me of, you know, Iron Butterfly, so you got a lot more of that California psychedelic. acid rocky kind of sound to a degree going on in here, like, so there's some really cool vibes on this album. But if you are a Jim Morrison fan and you think that The Doors is strictly Jim Morrison, you are not going to like this album. I'm going to tell you that right now. That is the biggest deterrent from this album. It's not a matter of not having Jim Morrison on it, it's a matter of not having a vocalist. And I'm not saying you have to have a vocalist that sounds like Jim Morrison. Like when Ian Ashbury fronted the band for a while, he does a great job of sounding similar to Morrison. You watch the Doors movie and, oh man, I just blanked on his name. Yeah. When he does his Doors, Jim Morrison vocal impersonation, he sounds just like it. I'm not saying they needed someone like that, but what I am saying is they needed someone that was definitely a vocalist, someone that could personify into the lyrics the same way that Jim Morrison did. I hate to say it, but like when they had things like Rockstar NXS and Rockstar Supernova, well, Rockstar The Doors back in the 70s would have probably been a really good one. Anyways, folks, those are my thoughts. Those are my opinions. Let me know what you think. This is me talking about The Doors' Other Voices. Leave me your comments below. That's what the comment section is for. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. There's a link to Patreon as well. Peace, love, take care.